Welcome back to the Maximum Cricket Podcast. I'm your host, Munter, and we are going to review day 2 of the fifth, or the only, or the first, I don't know right now. It's a test between England and India.
Maximum, the first of this contest. Oh, that is brilliant. It's a hero maximum. On the ground, down the ground, another hero maximum.
Where has Bazball gone? That is what I'm sort of thinking at the end of day 2, but let's rewind the clock. Let's start back at the start of the day. India 3:30 odd for 7 after an exciting first day. I said going into today that it was pretty even. If England could wrap up this tail, which is a long tail, and keep India to around sort of 350-ish, there's plenty of runs out there. Well, unfortunately for them, they had a Ravi Jadeja in the way, another Test 100, second this year, which is outstanding. He is becoming, like I said yesterday, he's a modern-day great all-rounder. He has to be, his batting has got better and better. I think it might be 4 of the last 5 years he's averaged over 40, give or take. He's averaging over 100 this year, which is incredible. And to think batting's probably not a strong suit, so he can't just be... If he's not a semi-decent bowler as well, he's not keeping Ashwin out there. If he's a batter that bowls part-time, we just got another sort of Michael Bracewell sort of situation there. So, I mean, New Zealand would just kill for a player like Jadeja, wouldn't they? It would be perfect. He just completes their team. It means they can play 4 seamers or another spinner. I potentially think they could have snuck Ashwin in there, but we'll get to that later. It wasn't all doom and gloom for England at the start, though. Start with the good. Anderson, 5 for 60 off 22 overs. His 32nd 5-wicket haul. Let's remind everyone the guy's turning 40 at the end of this month. Incredible. And considering India, who got over 400, went at basically 5 and over the whole test, Jimmy's going at 2.7 for 22 overs. It's just incredible. He just keeps churning these out. The game changes, but Jimmy stays the same, eh? And let's go off the bad. Obviously, we got that 100. Didn't help. But probably the bad one, Stuart Broad, 18 overs, 1 wicket for 89 runs, including that fateful over to Jasprit Bumrah. Let's go through that over now, actually. 4 wides, no ball 6, 4, 4, 4, 6, and a 1. That is 35 off the over. That is the highest. So that is the most expensive over in Test cricket history. Stuart Broad. Incredibly though, not Stuart Broad's most expensive over in cricket. Indian fans, you know what I'm talking about. I did think he should have been rested. I'm not going over just from 1 over. I think they could have really used a little bit of extra pace. With Overton, I do think he's a bit of a talent, and it strengthens that tail, which, as we'll talk about later, is going to be quite important heading into day 3. And 4 tests in 5 weeks is tough for anyone, particularly someone that's in the mid-30s. It was 36 now, is he? 35, 36. So, I mean, that's tough to ask Stuart Broad to keep doing that and keep performing. Like, no one's questioning whether he's in the number 1 side. He definitely is. No question about it. He can do things no one else can do. Just ask New Zealand that first test. But it just begs the question, are we looking after him long term? I don't know. So, India, 416 all out. Bumrah, 31 off 16, including smashing that over, which is probably disappointing for England because that tail isn't great. Like, it's not from 9 to 11. They're basically all jacks. So for them to get to 416, disappointing. But if England can perform with the bat, it'll be fine. Bumrah took his form with the bat onto the field. That's it. Bumrah, first 3 wickets, 44 for 3. England under the pump. Both openers and Ollie Pope in the sheds, all thanks to Bumrah. First one from Lees, it looked too quick for him, to be honest. And that's that extra pace that potentially India have that New Zealand don't have. Crawley, that's tough. I've been a backer of Crawley, and he looks good, but that was not a great shot. It looked a bit of a nothing shot. It didn't look like he was it looked more like a waft outside off stump, and when you're sort of half-hearting it, I mean, I know that Brendan McCullum doesn't like that, so I can't imagine he'll be too impressed. I think he'd rather just absolutely go hard. Speaking of going hard, Ollie Pope did that. He knocked off 2, so I don't know. So 44 for 3, Bumrah just absolutely ripping up. What do you have to say about Bumrah? What a captain sort of hour performance you've got there. So he's got this incredibly unique action where he bowls from incredibly wide of the crease and angles it in, swings it away. He sort of makes you play when you don't actually have to. Bet the bat a few times from root. I mean, all format player, all format seamer. It's him or it's Shaheen Afridi, and I'm probably taking Bumrah. If you want to take Shaheen Afridi, I'm not going to argue with you, but personally, Jasprit Bumrah, he's just got it all, man. He's got pace. He gets a lot more bounce than you actually think. So outstanding from him. And then that brought in England's 2 informed batsmen from the New Zealand series, Root and Bairstow. Didn't actually bat a lot together, surprisingly. And Root, he looks good. He does what he does. There was a lot of rain, so we lost a lot of time. But you just found like England couldn't get away. And I don't know if it was they were trying to see out the day or it was just Indians bowlers just put that little bit of extra pressure on the England batsmen that New Zealand couldn't. They've just got a little bit extra pace, extra bounce. They're just able to, and with that extra pace and bounce, they extract more out of the pitch than New Zealand could. New Zealand were looking for swing, and there wasn't swing there due to these old balls, whereas India just have that sort of, they can bang it in, and they were extracting a lot off the pitch, particularly Shami, who deserved, he managed to pick one up late. He managed to get one late, but he did have root and a bit of all sorts. He was hitting the hand a lot, just getting it to jump off a length. So Bazball really did run into a wall there, excuse the pun. But like Bairstow, he's ended the day 12 or 47. To put that in perspective, in the second innings, Bairstow got 70 odd of 41 balls. So he's faced more balls and he's got 60 odd runs less. So that's, I mean, he's trying to see out the day, so there's a little bit of asterisk behind that one. But Root gone for 30 odd to Mohammad Siraj at 78 for 4. You could just feel like Root was getting a little tied up. He wasn't able to be as busy as he normally does due to the tight bowling. I was messaging a couple of lads, and when Root was out, I was like, here we go, Stokes. Can't wait to watch him charge and do all this. And here comes Bazball. And he sends out a night watchman. Now, and Jack Leach is a fine player. It's just, and there's nothing wrong with a night watchman. I will talk about the whole concept of a night watchman. I find it incredibly strange. But it sort of isn't really preaching your positivity, is it? I need to protect it. Let's send out a lesser batsman. So, and it didn't even work. So, and what a night watchman can do to the fielding side, it's like a shark smelling a bit of blood. They can sense. Here we go. We've got a ball talking. We're well on top. They're sending out a batsman that's not as good as a normal batsman. Let's go. And that's what happened. Shami finally got his wicket, and that's 80 odd. Now it stumps. England are 84 for 5, well behind. Stokes still has to go out. So the concept of a night watchman. So obviously the whole point, and I get the point, you've got nothing to gain batting it this time of night. Everything to lose. So if you lose a batsman trying to get out the day, then you waste them for the next day. I get that. However, you would think a batsman would have a better defensive technique than a bowler, wouldn't you? They're a batsman for a reason, even if it is Stokes. And so he sends out Leach, who just looked all at sea, and he got dropped first ball, only faced 5 balls, eventually nicked one, and Stokes has to come out anyway. And we were wondering, if the night watchman doesn't work, do you send out another night watchman and just go again? Do you just keep sending out tailenders? Jimmy in next. Billings ends up batting 11. Does that happen? I don't know. But it's interesting that Stokes come out, and then how does he bat? And he's still charging. So on one hand, he's sending out a night watchman. On the other, he's charging. So I'm confused. Yeah, so as I said, we lost a lot of overs during the day today, but the game being so advanced anyway, like we had, what's that, 8 wickets in the day. Yeah, it shouldn't affect the result too much. Like if this happens every day, potentially it will, but I think they'll be fine at this stage. Heading into day 3, can England do it again? Look, this is a long tail they've got. Billings is in next. This is, I mean, the second test was technically the last one, but this will be a second bat. That's tough. So this partnership is massive, and are they going to come out and just whack it? I don't know. India look tough. India look far harder to attack than New Zealand did. India only used the three bowlers, only had to use the three bowlers. Nothing from Thakur yet. I did wonder if potentially India missed a trick by not picking Ashwin over Thakur. Now, I could be proven wrong, but I do feel like the ball's not moving around as much as it has in the past. So if the ball doesn't move around, Thakur could be like they'll pump him. And Ashwin, I find, would have been quite handy if the pitch isn't doing anything. He's a class bowler. He's the best spinner of this generation. And like, he's better than Lyon, that's for sure. And for him not to play, I get it if it's nipping around a lot. I get the balance sort of scenario. And Jadeja's a good player, but that could be a miss. So India's day for sure. Can England come back? Look, it almost feels like they will come back. That's the strange thing. And we will catch up tomorrow.